Mapema. Ni Mawe. So we are ready when you are. Songa huko mheshimiwa. Madam songa kidogo. Madam songa hivi. Anataka kusikia hizi. Songa mbele nyuma tafadhali pandeni. Acha songe mbele. Anataka usonge wapi? Anasema usonge. Nani? Sawa. Kana mwenye ile nani mwambie airekodi aweke nini anarekodi. When you are ready, let us know. Tuje natumia nini? We are good to go? Yes. Okay. I record. Huh? Okay, fine. Let me first take this very early opportunity to condemn the violence that was meted on Team Buzeki last night, and to point out my director of elections was the target of the violence that was meted on the vehicle he was traveling in last night at around 8:30 to 9 p.m. So we are here at Eldoret police station, Central Police Station. We've just had almost a half an hour meeting with the senior officers here, and we have discussed a broad spectrum of issues relating to election violence, and specifically the violence that was meted on our people last night. The ugly face of electoral violence was seen again in Gishu yesterday, and for myself and my team, we are quite saddened that a vice we all thought we had overcome has shown up its ugly head again yesterday. The exact location where this violence occurred is a place that has repeatedly been mentioned on matters to do with brutality and matters to do with electoral violence. In 2017, I think it's well within the record of everybody that violence was again meted on my team in the exact location. And just to be very specific, that location is just outside Silver Hotel. Silver Hotel has become the nexus of political hostility in Eldoret town and Uasin. The people who stoned the vehicle that my director of elections was traveling in last night are people who are known. They are people who have been involved in cases of violent political acts, And just to give reference to the concluded UDA nominations, where a candidate, Mr. Bitok, who was contesting the gubernatorial seat, was brutally manhandled by a team that represented or are supporters of his opponent. And that matter is well documented in Naiberi police station, where his vehicles were damaged, where he himself was at the point of being clobbered by his competitor, who was also an aspirant in the nomination. In his own recorded statement at Naiberi, his competitor came out with a rungu and smashed the windscreen of his vehicle. We have repeatedly voiced out very loudly the underlying evil plans being orchestrated by some political actors in Gishu. And it does not surprise anybody that NCIC mentioned Gishu as a hotspot. I think that they are right. It's now been confirmed that they are political actors who are now planning violence because they have sensed defeat. And these are actually the last kicks of a dying horse. I have talked to my entire supporters the whole night. I did not sleep for a minute, restraining them and telling them that we are peace-loving people. And I have told them that the best we can do is to be able to bring this matter to the hands of the authorities, specifically the police, who are well in charge of ensuring the safety of each one of us. And just to also mention that the police have somehow been a letdown in Uasin Gishu. I need to put that on record, and we have told them as such. We didn't mince words. We told them they have to rise up and protect the institution that they represent. We know a case of a young man who was a social media blogger for Ambassador Bitok, popularly known as Barmuriat, who was manhandled by some of these hooligans. And they took away his laptop, took away his phones, and the matter was reported in this police station. The culprit was apprehended, came to the police, and was released the following day under circumstances that could not be explained by the head of commanding station Central. So as we speak today, somebody else has taken items belonging to his brother in this town and is well using them to the detriment of the rightful owner. And this, his country, Kenya, his security operators who was in Gishu and Central have not made any effort to arrest and prosecute the culprit who apprehended and stole and brutally took his accessories. I think in the penal code that would be described as an assault, and it would actually be a capital offense because it's robbery with violence. But somebody who did robbery with violence is still roaming the Eldoret streets unchallenged. And these are the same people who have now become bolder and more aggressive, and they are now ready to make sure that we do not have a peaceful election on the 9th of August. The whole of this drama that has now started is not a sporadic attack. It's a planned scheme that has milestones and timelines that will be executed in the coming days to make sure that the people in Uasin Gishu will not have the peace and tranquility to be able to do their civil duty of electing the leaders that they have been persuaded by the manifestos that we sell to elect. I think there are certain statements that I have made before. When I was in the Citizen TV interview, I think the issue of insecurity and certain actors who are operating clandestine and unorthodox groups who want to disparage the security of others was well mentioned. And I came out very clear that there are certain individuals who have been recruited to upset the peace of the peace-loving people of Uasin Gishu. Some of these individuals are the ones who stoned our team vehicle last night. And for your information, once our team vehicle had been stoned, immediately the driver stopped the vehicle. There are 10 people who came carrying batons, as we popularly call miti ya jembe. And the miti ya jembe were removed from a premio that we are just trying to get the number plate right now. This miti ya jembe was used to beat boys in a place called Tendwo when the Kenya Kwanza team were doing their road shows. The same miti ya jembe was used to beat young people in a place called Dries, which is just the neighboring shopping center to my house in Ainapkoi, because they clearly showed their political inclination was to Buzeki, and they were beaten using batons, as we popularly call miti ya jembe. So we have told the police that we are restraining ourselves. We are going to abide by the peace that we want in Uasin Gishu, but we have equally and very strenuously emphasized to them that they must arrest the culprits who injured our driver, who endangered the life of my director of elections, and they need to act very swiftly so that frustration does not take control and things get out of hand, and then they will be held responsible for the aftermath of what may take place if they do not take action. But they have promised us that they are going to take action today. They have said immediately after this press conference, we are going to the site, the venue where this brutal act and this very despicable act took place last night. We have also told them that we feel the police in this unit have been compromised. We have told them as much. Because within our own intelligence, these people who have been hired to create chaos, they are heard speaking very loudly and chest thumping within the streets of Eldoret that they have a layer of safety net, which is the police who are cushioning them. We have told the police to come out and condemn this violence. Otherwise, then we will have a lot of unanswered questions that will need to be addressed sooner than later. As we summarize, we are going to stand for peace. We will protect and we will advocate, and I will be the face of unity, the face that will champion the building of a cohesive society in Uasin Gishu. And anything short of that will not be the making of Team Buzeki. It would be the making of others, and specifically our competitors. Our competitors have sensed defeat. They do not have a manifesto to sell. Our competitors have a plan to meet violence on people of Uasin Gishu in the next 10 days to make sure that they scare some voters so that they do not exercise their civil duty of voting on the 9th of August. And we want to call upon the security apparatus within the national government. If our local security deployment does not have the adequate capacity and determination to ensure that they go beyond the line of duty to guarantee the safety of all the residents of Uasin Gishu so that they can be able to vote and exercise their civil duty on the 9th, then we are calling for backup from national government. We want backup in Uasin Gishu, and we need it now before it's too late, because what happened yesterday is just a clear indication that we are lined up for some hostility in the days to come. So thank you very much, and I'll be willing to take one or two questions if you may like.
In your statement that you issued on your Facebook page, you said that Uhuru has really suffered. What was going through your mind in that statement?
I think I was just being quite clear. I didn't want any ambiguity. These are goons. These are hired bandits to attack other people. Who would stone a vehicle traveling at night that does not even have a sound system? They are just driving. You can only be a goon and a bandit to be able to do that. So it's good to be able to name those people for who they are. And I just wanted to shoot that straight, to tell these people you are goons and we are going to defeat you before you defeat the peace and tranquility that we have in Uasin Gishu.
That there was an unfortunate incident last evening where a vehicle belonging to a candidate in this county was pelted with stone. Fortunately enough, the stone damaged one side of the mirror of the vehicle, and the drivers have had a slight injury. We are up and running with investigations, and so far 2 suspects have been arrested and they are undergoing interrogation as we proceed with investigations. So actually establish the cause or the reason as to why such an incident did occur. At this particular juncture, I want to call upon the members of the public in general in this county to be tolerant with each other as we head, or as we are closing on to the general election. There is no need and no point of damaging other people's property. If you feel you cannot tolerate what a given political figure is talking about, all we are asking is you stay home, or you carry on about with your businesses.
So is this the first instance, because the candidate says there's been a planned attack against his team across the county?
What we know, or what we have, is a recorded incident that was yesterday evening.
So maybe talking of elections, we have only a few days to elections. Maybe how prepared are you as security apparatus in the county?
I only tell you we are prepared. As to how, I want just to say we are prepared and ready for the elections.
We have been seeing people in such times they migrate back, go back to their ancestral home. Maybe what is your message to them?
My take is that, or my assumption is that several people may not be registered voters in this county, and they may be going home to go and vote. Do we stop them from going there? Others are even coming here who are registered voters and they are working elsewhere in the country. Others even are diaspora voters and they are coming back here to come and vote because they registered here. So to us, we assume and we don't have people who have run out of this county on anticipation that there are chaos or they are expecting chaos. All we know is that people have been maybe migrating, and as well, this town, more especially this Eldoret town, is a town full of colleges and very many academic establishments. So most of them, the technical exams were done last week, and others are still going on. So immediately the students finish their exams, they may be going home after closing the schools, or their tutors to go and vote there at home.
Maybe the two that have been arrested, where were they arrested, and maybe anything that has linked them to this incident?
I've told you we are still going on with investigations. I may not be able to tell you the right spot, and we are still going on with the investigations. I'm not going to divulge that at this moment.
Allegations have been made that there are few people who are planning to disrupt the election on the election day. Have you heard that, and what are you doing about it?
It is good you are putting it as allegation, and the allegations are to be investigated. So those remain as allegations, but we don't have any.
NCIC told us that they still have that fear that this area is still a hotspot. Maybe what is your sentiment on that?
NCIC?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was here some few weeks ago, and I'm sure you are aware of that.
Everybody's perspective.
Yes.
Everybody's perspective remains with the person who is alleging. As we don't have such things of saying this is a hotspot.
Can you clear the air, because some of maybe residents will be having that fear? Maybe can you clear that air?
I've already cleared and said every other person who is here in this county rest easy, remain and wait to vote if you are a voter, and everything else will remain as there before.
The candidate that has been affected by this incident says the police have laxity in dealing with goons because they say they have reported several. Maybe what is your assurance to them in regard to your operations? Let
me not be tired and still answer that we only have this incident, this reported incident, this one alone. We don't have any other. So the idea or the allegation of laxity is neither here or there.
When officer, there is this incident of one of the bloggers who was attacked some few months ago before nominations, and you are saying this is the first incident. So what is the?
Kindly clarify.
Yeah, need clarification.
To me, in record, I only have this incident alone. That is the one I have told you, and we also requested them to strictly adhere to the programs that they presented to the IBC, who are the lead agency as to when somebody is supposed to be at what point for their campaigns, so that they don't clash at the venues.